You're tuned in to WODU, the best in college radio. This is CupCheck. I'm Alex, next to Kevon here. You know what it is. Best sports radio show in the world. Without a doubt. Nobody's better. We got a lot today. Football, and more football here. NFL, college, ODU, Cowboys injuries, all of them. It's a whole list.
Great weekend for football.
It was a great weekend for football. We almost had some upsets. Ohio State almost lost. Now they got to choose a starter. We'll tell you who it should be, at least in our eyes. Fantasy corners, waiver wire coming up, along with some DraftKings picks, maybe some sleepers or some worth the money guys that you should probably try and get for either the Thursday night game or this weekend. But definitely need to pick them up. And then at the end, if there's time, goes till 3. If there's time, we'll talk about who we think is going to win the NBA championship. I mean, right around the corner.
Hey.
Right around the corner, man. I mean,
never too soon.
No, I mean, preseason's about to start for them. No, training camps and all that. So yeah. I don't know. Do you think the Warriors can repeat? We'll find out. You'll get our take on it. So we'll jump right in here. Jump right in to football. We'll talk about the Cowboys first and all of their injuries and I mean, just the list. I mean, so this weekend they lose everybody. Last week they lost Dez.
Yep. Huge
injury. Then they lost Romo this weekend to a broken clavicle, shattered, I think was the word used. And then come to find out that one of the guys that's always there.
Witten, he's always there, yeah.
I mean, Witten has 2 sprained ankles, so he sprained both of his ankles.
It's just all going wrong.
Yeah, and then he has an ACL tear or something. No, not a tear, but a strain. So he's questionable this weekend. And the thing is, the Cowboys continue to win. The Cowboys are 2-0. I mean, like that doesn't even make sense.
Well, I don't see that continuing. They're facing my lovely Falcons this weekend. I think we're gonna handle business.
I mean, yeah, the Falcons have been going off. The Falcons are 1-0. They should are 1-1. They should be 2-0. I mean, they were Julio looks like the man.
Yeah. I mean, they are 2-0. They took care of business with Eagles. Now,
oh, that's right. They did beat the Eagles. I forgot about that. Yeah.
NFC East. They're going through NFC East right now.
Yeah.
It seems like.
I mean, they should have a good shot at the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't that good, and they're injured. I mean, they're really banged up, but they keep winning. I mean, when you got an offensive line, I guess it really doesn't matter who's behind. But it brings up the question though: do you trade for a quarterback? Like, with only Brandon Wheaton now on the roster? I mean, because that's it. It's Brandon Wheaton, and then it's nobody. Mm-hmm. Then it's your punter or kicker. You can't have your punter or kicker going out there and throwing the ball. So, like, at what point do they either trade for one or get one in free agency? Because they don't have too many options if Wheaton goes down and if Wheaton doesn't produce what they want to. Because Romo's done for the season.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear he is, and I totally understand the panic mode that's going on with the Dallas Cowboys, but they do need to explore some options because the way the depth chart is, you only got one backup and that's it. Like, that's not really.
I don't know what their mindset was there. I mean,
think about this when the season started. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they thought Romo would be their guy. Like Romo would be there.
Histories, of.
And that's the thing. Like, nobody talks about Romo's injuries because he usually fights through them. Romo's a dude that'll fight through the pain and fight through the injuries and stuff. But RG3 wouldn't, and people just bash RG3 for not like going out there and being tough and getting injured all the time. I mean, he's a joke of getting injured. There's like the RG3 in a wheelchair thing.
RG knee.
Yeah, RG knee. I mean, there's all of that stuff. But like, nobody talks about Romo and his injury problem because he usually misses a game or two.
Yeah.
I mean, this will be one of the first times he like missed like a substantial amount. I mean, he had that back injury in the back, all that.
Historically, he has a better team.
I mean, I mean, the Redskins have never had, not never, but in the past, in the Dan Snyder era, they really haven't had a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's owned them for 16 years, and they have had 16 quarterbacks. And you can't really do well when you don't have a franchise quarterback,
Exactly.
which I thought RG3 was going to be. But talk is now, because RG3 obviously doesn't play for the Redskins. I mean, he's on the team, but he doesn't play.
Yeah, he needs to go. Definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, for both the Redskins organization, the Cowboys organization, and RG3 as a player, is it a smart trade? Do the Cowboys trade for RG3?
I think you definitely explore it. I mean, it sounds like a wild thing. If you would have told me this months ago, I would have thought you were crazy. But it's something that, I mean, it makes sense. The Cowboys they only have one quarterback. RG3, he's not gonna play. The Redskins and RG3 just aren't getting well together. You know, he has to go. New change of scenery seems like that's the ideal thing for him.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, like, the coaches at the Redskins organization just hate RG3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't want him to play.
It seems like that, yeah.
But the ownership likes him. But if he's not going to play, you give the man an opportunity to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what the Redskins have cheated him, I guess, is the best word, out of his career. They haven't given him the opportunity to play more than a season.
Yes.
Because Kirk Cousins is always right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So if Kirk Cousins is your guy, just go ahead and trade RG3.
Yeah, like, don't be wishy-washy about it.
And
like,
I mean,
yeah.
And you're not going to get what you gave up for him. I mean, 2 first-round draft picks and just more picks, like some lower rounds and then some players. That's not going to happen. The Cowboys aren't going to give that up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at some point you just cut your losses and you give up whatever. Exactly. You just kind of get what you can. I mean, the Cowboys will probably give up a 5th-round draft pick, maybe a young player like cornerback or something they need, But
let's be honest, RG3 is not feeling good there, and you don't need to keep around somebody who doesn't really feel good being on the team.
Yeah.
You know? So why not? It's just you don't want that chemistry thing to go on.
Yeah, and I mean, if RG3 is there, there's always going to be like speculation of, well, if Kirk Cousins does poorly, is RG3 coming in?
Exactly.
And then if you have him, if that situation occurs, fans want RG3. And Kirk Cousins doesn't feel comfortable anymore making mistakes.
It's that shadow that's always on it. Yeah, it's just they gotta. One of them has to go. And
yeah,
obviously, it seems like the odd man out is RG3.
Yeah, I mean, they had RG3 last week playing scout safety.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard about that.
I mean, at that point, like, he's not going to be your QB anymore.
Playing safety.
Yeah, I mean, he's quick. He could probably play safety at a lower level, but like, if you're going to have your franchise quarterback, the guy you gave us so much for, playing safety, you've given it up on him. Stick with your man Kirk Cousins. You got a second, third string behind RG3. I mean, just let the man go. Don't release him, because that you get nothing for him. Mm-hmm. But go ahead and trade him. I mean, yeah, you don't want to help out the Cowboys, but if the right trade occurs, it's going to help both teams.
Exactly.
And RG3.
I totally agree. Yes, it would definitely work out on both ends.
And I mean, there's other teams that are other QBs out there they could trade for. They could try to get like a Chad Henne or somebody like that, like somebody kind of lower tier and everything. But I mean, RG3, they're not going to have to give up a lot for. Maybe the ODU alum, Taylor Heineke from the Vikings. I mean, if
why not?
that was a good. That was one thing that a lot of people from ODU were hoping, at least, that he went to the Cowboys, because they saw him fitting well there.
Yeah.
I mean, Romo. Nobody expected Romo to get hurt this quickly, but it's kind of like he could learn behind Romo, kind of like a Rodgers did.
Yeah.
With Favre. Obviously, Favre and Romo are not on the same page, but kind of learn behind him and then step in and do it. He's a smaller guy, but a big arm, kind of like Romo. Romo's a little bigger, but not as quick as Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I honestly never thought about that until you brought that up. Heineke would actually be a pretty good. I mean, I could see him behind Romo, something like that. Maybe filling in after Romo's time is up, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, the Vikings are pretty set with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
I mean, unless Bridgewater gets hurt, Heineke's never ever going to see the field.
I feel like in order for him to advance his career, I feel like he probably needs to be traded.
Yeah, which it needs to happen, but. I mean, the Cowboys would be a good destination for him.
Definitely.
Kind of get an ODU guy over there. But that would be an interesting trade. But RG3 looks like the main trade. They say they're not going to trade for somebody. They're not going to pick anybody up. But what you say and what you do are completely different. So we'll see how that goes. But staying on the QB kind of trail here, what happened to Drew Brees?
Hey, I don't know what happened to Drew Brees, but I'm happy. I'm a Falcons fan. I'm glad to see the struggles, but it is unfortunate because he's a great quarterback. That we've known about for years. He's been great, and to see him struggle and his team, Sean Payton, all that, like, it's sad. I mean, it seems like an end of an era almost. It seems like, but I don't know. It might be in panic mode. Just me in panic mode saying that, but it just seems like it might be an end of an era.
No, I think it kind of is. I mean, he's injured right now. He's getting older. I think he just hit 30, or he's right around 30. He might be a year or two over. But they had their run. They had their magical Super Bowl run that I think everybody was rooting for them, minus the Ravens. I mean, or no, I don't remember who they played now. We'll look it up. But yeah, I mean, everybody was gunning or hoping for the Saints, and now they look like a team who may not get a win.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for them. But you kind of going into the season, they got rid of Jimmy Graham. I mean, that was their man right there.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at what Jimmy Graham did for Seattle so far,
yeah,
I mean,
that's true too.
They look like they made out of that one pretty good. Now, I mean, Drew Brees
and Russell Wilson, I don't think they're. I mean, Drew Brees.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. He should be producing a lot more than he is.
Yeah, but I mean, I've always said I haven't been the biggest fan of Russell Wilson. I've always said I thought Russell Wilson was a manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like he's slightly overrated.
Like he's not an elite QB. He's a good to great QB. And times he makes the right decisions. He doesn't make mistakes usually. I mean, the past 2 games he's made some mistakes, but for the most part, and the throw at the end of the Super Bowl, that's obviously his biggest mistake of his career. But he doesn't make too many mistakes. He holds onto the ball pretty well. He knows when to throw it away. So he's good in that aspect, but I would not call him an elite quarterback who's going to lead the team through the air.
Not at all.
They need the defense, and they need Marshawn Lynch.
The running game, yes, exactly. I feel like they rely more so on the defense and the running game than they do his passing, and I feel like that's why he kind of gets the back shadow of all the hype that goes around with the Seattle Seahawks, and he's not really all as hyped up as it seems.
Yeah, but I mean, Jimmy Graham should be producing there regardless.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, maybe that loss of a big target and one of his favorite targets. I mean, Colston was his other favorite target, and Colston's like 40 now.
Yeah.
So Drew Brees is starting to lose his targets, although he got Cooks, and Cooks looked like he was going to be a stud. But Brees has to produce and deliver, and he hasn't. And I mean, with this injury to his shoulder, it's kind of nearing the point where you go, is he done? Do they find a replacement for him? What do you do? Because both him and Sean Payton just haven't been able to go out there and win game after game. And I mean, the Bucs looked terrible versus Tennessee.
Yeah, they did. And the fact that the Saints had lost, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs just trounced them. I mean, the defense didn't look any better either. I mean, Jameis Winston just had a field day with the defense. I mean, he was tearing it up like it was a college game again. Back to his college heyday. I mean, he was
the Bucs got some good young talent though. They do. They definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the wide receivers, and then Mike Evans, and just this new tight end they have, the Austin Jenkins guy. He's going just through the roof, although he's now injured with a shoulder injury, which kind of seems to be the running thing with the NFL right now. A lot of shoulder injuries. I guess it's a dangerous game you're playing, so that happens, but it seems like a little more than usual in both college and NFL. But I mean, you look at Jameis Winston just tearing apart the Saints D, 207 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions.
Definitely.
When he threw 2 interceptions versus Tennessee, versus Mariota. So, I mean, the Colts or the Saints aren't looking very good. I mean,
they're not. Their secondary isn't too good either as well.
I mean, they don't have anything, and I don't know how you feel about Mark Ingram, but I've always thought Mark Ingram was good in Bama, and then he just lost it, kind of like a Reggie Bush.
Because I had the same fan type because I was a big fan of Reggie Bush. He came into as a Saint, stuff like that. Same with Mark Ingram. I don't know what it is. it just doesn't seem like he got it put together. I don't know. He was great at Bama though. He was
Yeah,
great.
and I mean he's got the size that you think would people would want. I mean, he's almost built like a fullback. He's like the old school running backs, you know, like really Jerome Bettis and them. He's like 5'9", 215. He's a bowling ball running at you. You think it'd be hard to tackle him, which it was in college, but ever since he got to the Saints, he hasn't been able to get it there. And then you rely on Drew Brees to throw the ball, and now Drew Brees is injured. They're in some trouble.
Yeah.
I don't see them.
Definitely, because I don't see them honestly winning the NFC South.
I mean, the way Atlanta's playing, the way your Atlanta's playing, the way Carolina's playing, they're 2-0 as well. I think
it's gonna be Carolina or Atlanta or possibly Bucks. You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't see the Saints.
Yeah, no, I mean, Tampa's got a shot maybe next year. I think they're a little young.
Yeah,
I think it's hard with Jameis there when you got Matt Ryan and Cam Newton, two pretty good quarterbacks in the league. You're right though; they have a lot of young talent. They're going to be good in the coming years because you look at, I mean, some of their wide receivers are above 6'5", 6'6". I mean, you can't guard those people when they're that tall. I mean, Vincent Jackson's still there, and you got running backs as well. They got Doug Martin, who produced his rookie year but hasn't done too well since. I mean, he's got 130 yards in 2 games.
Solid running back type.
And they got Bobby Rainey, who people were high on for a little bit, but they got a lot of young talent, and they built an offensive line in the draft. But the Saints look like they might be in some trouble.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like that.
And it'll be interesting to see who replaces Drew Brees, or if Drew Brees comes back with vengeance. Anything's possible with him.
Yeah, he can get hot, but I mean, he needs players around him.
Yeah, he does. He can't do it all himself.
Yeah,
he needs a defense too. I mean, that's really what's hurt him.
Yeah.
Speaking about defenses, one that was supposed to be the best in the league coming in, the Eagles.
Super Bowl champions.
I don't know what to say about the Eagles. Your guess is as good as mine for the Eagles, man.
DeMarco Murray has not lived up to his contract at all.
I mean, I saw an article yesterday that was titled 35 players who have more rushing yards than the Eagles. There's players in the league with more rushing yards than the entire Eagles team.
I actually saw that Tom Brady has more rushing yards than DeMarco Murray.
I mean, DeMarco Murray has 11 rushing yards. Darren Sproles is leading the way for them at 46. They have a total of 70 rushing yards for everybody.
DeMarco Murray has ran the ball 3 times as much as Darren Sproles.
21 attempts for 11 yards. He's averaging half a yard a game or half a yard a carry. That's just
I mean, I know people say, okay, the line, okay, but I don't. If you're an NFL running back, I do not see how you're getting half a yard a carry.
I mean, you can almost fall forward and get half a yard.
Yeah, I mean, 21 attempts. I mean, like.
And the thing is, like, Dallas's front line is good, but it wasn't that good to get to him that often.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, and the Falcons' front line isn't great on the defensive side, but Murray just couldn't find a hole.
Yeah.
In a way, I think that's Kelly's offense, because when you look at what Murray did as Dallas, he ran through the tackles. He was kind of a guy that you handed the ball and he ran through the gut, where Kelly likes to do the little jet sweeps and the pitches and stuff like that. And I don't think Murray's that type of guy.
But Sproles is, and you see why he's striving off of it.
Yeah, I mean, Sproles is a little dude that's really quick. That's what he does. I mean, he'll bounce off you here and there. But you look at players that, I mean, they brought in so many DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews were supposed to be the two-headed monster. I mean, it was almost like you wanted both of them on your fantasy team because they're both going to go off in this fast-paced offense where everybody's going to touch it this many times. And they haven't like produced like people are expecting. And then they traded for Sam Bradford, who has 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in 2 games. I think 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Now, if you were in the front office, at what point would you decide it's time to let Chip go?
I mean, I think you got to give him the season, or at least till you're out of contention.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't got you there. His offseason moves look good. But I mean, Nick Foles was your guy and he did pretty well last year. I don't know why they traded him away for Sam Bradford as well. I mean, Sam Bradford is not a step up.
Yeah, he's almost like same. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they traded across, so I don't quite get that one. I mean, Murray looked like a good trade, and I think it still is because you look at Shady, he's injured.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, injury might not happen, but I think Murray's at some point is going to produce, whether it's now or later.
Mm-hmm. And I would have taken. I mean, me personally, I like DeMarco Murray last year, off of last year's results, which is when they made this. When they made this, they were only coming in knowing about last year. Murray over McCoy.
Yeah, and I mean, but if you look at it, McCoy didn't do that great either last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the year before Chip Kelly, I think it was the year before, or Chip Kelly's first year, he did really well. So at some point, do you realize that Chip Kelly doesn't need a running back? He needs a Darren Sproles,
a scat back.
Little,
yeah.
I mean, because he didn't use McCoy that well. He used him for screen passes, and McCoy did okay at that. But Murray has never been a screen pass type of guy. I mean, Murray has been kind of a run through the tackle. So I don't know. And then he made a bunch of trades defensive wise, and they haven't panned out very well.
Yeah. I don't know about the Eagles. I mean, but we'll see though, because DeMarco Murray, you never know, he could turn it around.
Yeah, he's a running back. He's a great running back at that. Yeah. I mean, when you have a great running back like that, you can't count him out too much. But allowing 46 points a game, that's not going to get you a good record.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see how they play off through the rest of the season, because right now they're struggling.
Very much so.
Staying in that division, because that's just what we're going to do all day. We're going to do the whole NFC least.
They're the most drama.
They are,
the most
man.
drama every year.
Yeah, I mean, they are. You talk about the Redskins, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. You're talking about most of the stories in the NFL.
Yeah.
But going with the Giants, I mean, poor clock management yet again.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what they did first game. They could have won the game, and instead they
blew it.
They didn't score a touchdown. Didn't go for. I don't know what they were trying to do. So they lost that game to the Cowboys. And then with 5 minutes left, they had the lead again versus the Falcons, and they blow it again.
The crazy thing is the Falcons, they used up all their timeouts with 2 minutes left and gave it all to Matt Ryan to just go down the field and score. And it's like the Giants really they had everything going their way. Falcons had no timeouts in their last drive. Like they just had the whole field to go down, and they couldn't stop them.
And I mean, it's just, and they hit Julio.
Yeah, they got a touchdown actually.
Yeah, it was like, what is this? I mean, they hit Julio for a 60-yard pass, and then Freeman ran it in from 2 yards out.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are in trouble, man. They need to be able to control the clock. I mean, they should be 2-0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They definitely had 2 games where they could say that they blew it, you know. But I think that's the reason why they had games like that, and that's why they are in trouble, but they can still make it.
Yeah, I mean, they're
because their division.
It's their year to make the wild card and win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's just the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Coughlin was on the hot seat. Now he's going to win the Super Bowl. But at some point, you kind of lose faith in them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Eli doesn't look like he can manage the game clock. They took a delay of game penalty in the 2 minutes. How do you do that? That stops the clock and it puts you 5 yards back. It was like a 3rd and 3 that went to a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8.
Yeah, very, very questionable, bad decisions that have been happening. Like the delay of game with Eli, it happened twice. Yeah, and that was just ridiculous. You don't really expect that from a vet like him.
No, and I mean, he's sloppy. He's just been really. The whole team has been sloppy. Definitely. I just don't get the whole don't score, and then Eli taking these stupid penalties, because that's the only way to put it. Stupid penalties. But they should be 2-0, but instead they're 0-2, which is just not where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
But luckily for the division they're in, they could still win it. I mean, you look at the Cowboys; they're 2-0. The Redskins are 1-1, and then the Eagles and them are tied at the bottom at 0-2.
And every team seems like they're going through something.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys at some point can't ride this injury wave too far. At some point they're going to get injured, or injuries are going to catch up to them. Speaking of QBs, people who didn't think could manage the clock or even be a QB. You got Johnny Manziel. And I mean, Manziel, he looked good. That's the only way to put it.
He did, yeah. But I feel like the ceiling's only but so high with him. I hate to say it. I just feel like he's gonna be solid, but I don't know if I see him as a permanent answer for Cleveland.
He's got a short ceiling because he's short. He's only like 6'1".
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's too small. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean, you could want Manziel to be it, and he'll get you some wins. Manziel is like a smaller Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
Tebow is at least built like a NFL quarterback, where Manziel's pretty small. He's like 150 pounds, 200 pounds, maybe. Not even. Probably like 160, 6'1". He's not very big.
No.
Tennessee wasn't a great team, so you can't take too much from this win. The 28-14. They're playing the Raiders, then the Chargers. Those are two games where the defenses aren't spectacular, where he's probably going to look pretty good. And at what point do you bring back the other guy? At what point do you say, all right, Josh McCown's the guy? And then they play the Ravens, who if Johnny Manziel is still in when he plays the Ravens, they are going to dismantle him.
Oh, yeah, because their defense is crazy.
I mean,
even though they have been struggling recently.
Yeah, and I mean, they lost Suggs, which hurt them. But you got Johnny Manziel, who's a guy that's going to run around the pocket and try to make plays and bounce off of people and throw it deep. At some point, he's going to get his belt rung.
Oh, yeah, especially playing against the Raiders and the Ravens. Yeah.
I mean, the Raiders got a young defense with Khalil Mack and all them. But, I mean, I don't – man, is Manziel the answer there?
I mean –
is he the long-term answer,
now,
I guess? Because he's a short-term answer.
Yeah, right now, I will start him the whole season, honestly. I like Manziel.
Personally. Yeah, I mean, McCown's not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think you ride with Manziel.
Like, you drafted him. Like, just
yeah, I mean, he's not a good quarterback. I mean, to say the least, he's not a good quarterback. He's in the bottom tier of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yes.
I mean, there are quite a few quarterbacks you take above him. And just because of their size and everything. I mean, I would take Derek Carr over Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
Derek Carr looked good. You got Bortles. I mean, everybody has a quarterback, I think, that would be above him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just small. He's not a quarterback
I hate
size.
To say it. Like, I can't, like, he's just not, I don't think he just really fits the bill, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, in a way, that's like a stereotype of quarterbacks, but in a way, you need that stereotype to be successful at the higher level.
I mean, we look at the results right now. I mean, the Cleveland Browns, they did win against the Titans, but they're not really a problem.
And I mean, the quarterback on the other side was, people can kind of compared him to Manziel and Mariota. But Mariota's 6'4", Manziel's 6'1". Yeah. Mariota also bulked up. I think he had like 220-ish. That might be a little high. Yeah. But he added like 15 pounds of muscle. I mean, he looked a lot bigger coming into the NFL, where Manziel actually slimmed down a little bit. He lost a couple pounds.
Yeah, Mariota's definitely the better prospect, I believe, between the two.
I mean, you look at I guess you can even look at who played quarterback this week that won the Heisman, because there were 6 of them, surprising 6. You got Mariota. I would take Mariota. I think everybody would take Mariota. He looked really good, minus a couple interceptions, but he still looked pretty good against Cleveland. You had Jameis Winston, who didn't look great against Tennessee, but looked very good against the Saints. Carson Palmer was another one that was playing. You got Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a linebacker playing there. I mean, it's not even fair.
No question, yeah.
You got Sam Bradford, who's still playing there. I mean, he's doing all right. He didn't do great for the Eagles, but he did what he needed to do. He threw the ball moderately well. I mean, Manziel's at the bottom of that list.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but yeah, he is. He definitely is the bottom of the list when you look at the Heisman winners and the Heisman quarterbacks that are starting in the league today. He's on the bottom of the list.
I mean, Wikipedia, so take it as he won, has him at 6 foot. So I was actually giving him an inch, 210. That's not a very good 210, 6 foot. It's not very good.
Yeah, it's not.
And then you got Marcus Mariota, who's 6'4", 222, and he's actually bigger than that.
But all the quarterbacks you name, when they have monster games, when they have good games, they're throwing like 250, 2 something. Manziel, he's really just throwing like 160, 170, something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, Manziel had a good game last week.
Mhm.
It was probably his best game of his career, actually, to break it down. I mean, he had one of the best games, or the best game, and he threw for 354 yards, which is it's pretty impressive.
That was combined though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was through 2 games.
Okay.
Of that last game, he threw for 172. So I mean, threw for 172 yards, got the win, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was good for him to not turn it over. So threw some risky passes, and Tennessee's secondary looked terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they let this no-name guy, well, we'll bring up later, Benjamin, the wide receiver, just tear them apart.
Yeah,
I mean,
he had a great game.
He had 3 touchdowns, 2 of them receiving. I mean, out of the blue. He had 115 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, and a 60-yard long touchdown. And then he took a punt back.
So do you think that Manziel is the permanent answer?
No, I mean, Manziel, no. Manziel shouldn't even be the short-term answer, but the Browns have kind of screwed themselves. The Browns have nobody to replace him or anything like that. I mean, there's very few quarterbacks. Actually, I can't think of a quarterback in the league right now that I would take Manziel over, a starting quarterback. I would take a healthy RG3 over Manziel. Kirk Cousins, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Cousins.
I'm not either, but yeah,
there's not a quarterback I can think of.
Manziel isn't all that.
No, I mean, he's not. But
really
but I mean, people think he's the truth and the answer and everything. But it's like, I don't know who you would take Manziel over if you were given the option of any quarterback in the league and you rank them starting wise, 1 to 32. I mean, I can't think of a guy to take him over.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his best game. I mean, what he threw, like 180 something.
Yeah,
like
172.
172. That's like a bad game for most top premier quarterbacks in the league, honestly.
Yeah, you look at, I mean, even people who call like good above average, like Ben Roethlisberger threw for like 400 yards. I mean, like Terrell Pryor, maybe, but Terrell Pryor's been balling out this year. It's the only way to put it. Terrell Pryor's just been on a tear. I mean, you got Tannehill, Tom Brady, Fitzpatrick, maybe over Fitzpatrick. Maybe.
I don't know. I think Fitzpatrick probably got him though.
Ryan Mallett, maybe Ryan Mallett.
Yeah, maybe Ryan Mallett, yeah.
But then you're in the Bradford Cousins area. I mean, Matt Ryan, Newton, Winston, Kaepernick, Foles. Manziel's the worst out of these start. If you go and look at the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, Manziel's the worst.
You can definitely argue that. Him and Mallett, I think it's between him and Mallett. They are 2 of the worst.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I'm not a fan of half of the quarterbacks on here. I don't like Tannehill. I don't like Kaepernick, but I take them over them. I don't like Stafford. Stafford turns the ball over too much. Eli can't manage the clock, but they're still better than this 6-footer from Texas A&M.
Yeah, just launching the ball down the field.
So, I mean, I guess short-term answer, he's got to be it. But long-term answer, they're in the search for a new quarterback, just like the.
It seems like
Cowboys.
they've always been in the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like the Redskins. They can't find anybody.
They just can't find that guy.
But I mean, that's what happens when you take Brandon Wheaton with your first pick. I mean, you take a guy who's a 30-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
And then you take Josh McCown and say he's the answer. You overpay Josh McCown and say he's the answer, and then you take Manziel and you have that whole thing. Next, they're going to grab Tebow. I mean, that's kind of their franchise. But speaking of the teams that are doing well and not doing well, 2-0. There's some 2-0 teams and some 0-2 teams. Where do you have, I guess, who is the best 0-2 team?
Best 0-2 team
that you have right now. Like, you're looking at the list, you see who's 0-2. You got Seattle 0-2. You got the Ravens, the Colts, the Texans, the Lions, Giants, Bears, Saints. Looking at the list,
for me,
who's your best 0-2? Who's the team? The 0-2 team that will make the playoffs is
Seahawks. just because the weapons they have so many pieces. It's just remarkable. I mean, yes, they have been struggling recently. They played division rival in the Rams. Last game, and they play Packers, right?
Yeah, they
Green
just
Bay.
lost to the
Yeah.
Packers.
That's two division rivals right there. I mean, I can't really. I know they're supposed to win the game, but it is a division, and well, not division. I'm sorry, but the Packers and the Rams. That's a pretty. Packers are a good team. Rams are division rivals, so can't really blame them too much. I mean, I know that they are struggling and they're not up to par, but I think they're gonna pull it together.
I mean, looking at their schedule though, I think they're in trouble because I think the Rams win that division. I think the Rams have the pieces to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They have the defense to do it, and Seattle doesn't look like they're up to par. And you got Arizona too. Arizona looks really good right now. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is rejuvenated. I mean, he's just been going off. They play the Bears next week, which they'll probably win. I think Cutler's out a couple weeks, so they'll probably beat the Bears. They get the Lions. It's going to be a close one, but it's at home, so I'd say they take them. Then they're at the Bengals, who are on a tear. I don't think they can do that. You got the Panthers. That'll be a good game with Cam Newton. 49ers there. Cowboys there. I mean, Cardinals, division foe. You got the 49ers again. It's just a tough division. I mean, they got the 49ers, the Rams, and the Arizona, the Cardinals, all in one division. And everybody's got to win except them. It's going to be tough for them to come back.
So do you see them going to the playoffs?
I think Seattle misses the playoffs.
Wow.
I just the way they've struggled, it's ridiculous. And they're starting to kind of rebel on one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at like what Marshawn Lynch's mom said about the offensive coordinator and everything, and Cam Chancellor's holding out. Chancellor wants more money, which I don't blame him. At some point, you can't say they're going to put it together anymore. At some point, it's okay. They're in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if they lose next week, they're in panic mode.
They lose next week against the Bears, right? They lose next week. Panic mode probably needs to be turned on
because I mean they look like they're floundering.
Mm-hmm.
In a team that this was their answer, this was their time to just kind of. This was their window. Their window was only a couple of years. And that's like their window's closed.
Yeah.
I think their window was there and now it's closed because they had to pay everybody now. They can't keep everybody. The offensive line is going to be gone. Most of the defensive line is going to be gone because they had to keep the secondary.
And unfortunately, it's like that in sports. When you win a Super Bowl and, players get new contracts, everybody got to get paid now. So then the team starts falling apart.
Yeah, and I mean, my philosophy on the Seahawks over every other team is that Pete Carroll is a player's coach.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to make you feel the best that there is. He wants to make you feel like you're the guy. You're the best in the league. And at some point you believe that and you go, all right, I'm the best in the league. I want the money. And that's kind of hurting them in that aspect. Like people like to play for him, but people want the money to play for him.
Yeah.
So at some point, Seattle's not going to be able to pay everybody. And I think they've passed it. I think this was their window and it's closing quick. They're going to have to stop it. My best 0-2 team, it's tough. I mean, I would probably say, I don't know. I mean, I think the Ravens haven't looked great. They've been close.
I don't really believe in the Ravens.
Well, I don't like the Ravens, so that's why I don't want to say it. But I mean, I don't think Flacco's elite like everybody else does. Everybody else, Flacco's the elite. Flacco's in the top 5.
That game he had first week 1, that was horrible.
Second week wasn't even that good. I don't get the whole is Flacco elite thing. Like if you're gonna throw Flacco elite, you have to put Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger in there for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, Flacco's not elite. Flacco's got good arm strength, but so does Ben. So does Matt Ryan. I mean, you just can't. We're throwing the word around elite around way too much if we're considering Flacco elite.
Yeah, because he has a great arm though. He does have a great arm.
Oh, he's got a phenomenal arm. Mm-hmm. He makes mistakes sometimes. He's not elite. He's not at that level. I don't think there's that many quarterbacks that are. I would have put Andrew Luck in there, but after seeing what they're doing. And I think the Colts are probably my best 0-2 team.
Yeah, that would probably be my second best.
Just because I don't think they're that bad. I can't think they're that bad. They went from one game away from the Super Bowl, a deflated football away from the Super Bowl, to terrible. I don't know. That's just I can't imagine they're that bad. Maybe they are, but they're the team I'm kind of like, okay, they're gonna build it on now. At least I hope so, because I got fantasy ties to them. So I hope so. But so I mean, that's your best 0-2 team.
Out of all quarterbacks, I believe in Andrew Luck the most. So out of Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco.
Yeah, out of all the 0-2 teams, I mean, that's the one you got the Eagles. The Eagles is another one that they could probably turn it around. The Eagles are probably the team that is 0-2 that'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just because the conference is so easy.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you got Eli, you got the Texans, whoever their quarterback's gonna be. You got Stafford, and then you got Jay Cutler, hurt Jay Cutler, and a hurt Drew Brees. So if you're going quarterback-wise, that's who you want to believe in. The Colts are definitely your pick.
Yeah.
So you got 0-2s, and then you got 2-0s. I mean, there's some teams that are 2-0 that it's like, I got to check the stats again because I can't be right. So what team, at least in your eyes, is a team you look at and go, I can't believe they're 2-0?
Can't believe they're 2-0.
Yeah, it blows you away when you see it.
Might have to be the Jets, honestly.
I don't see how it can be anybody else.
It might have to be the Jets. I did not expect them to. Their defense is actually playing very well. The offense seems to be coming together as well. So I did not expect it.
And I mean, they got rid of Rex, so you were like, okay, right. And then Geno Smith got hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like broke his jaw. It's like the Jets look like a dumpster fire. Like run away,
paper,
sell.
Yeah,
like no, you don't want the Jets. No. And they're phenomenal. They just stomped the Colts.
Brandon Marshall's looking like a great pickup.
He is. And that's the thing. Like Brandon Marshall was like, he was in fantasy drafts, and I'm sure on DraftKings and everything. Like it's like Brandon Marshall's there. No, I'll pass. I don't want him. Who's gonna throw him the ball?
Yeah, who's he gonna throw it to?
Yeah, you're gonna tell me Fitzpatrick is? No, I'll pass. I mean, I'll choose a different team just because you chose the Jets, but I think the Jets are the surprise 2-0 team. I'd say the Cowboys. And the only reason I'm going to say the Cowboys is because after the Dez Bryant injury, I preached you need to pay your quarterback. So Dez Bryant going out didn't hurt him too much because their quarterback's out. But they beat two division foes with tons of injuries. I mean, they beat the Eagles at the Eagles. And yeah, they beat two teams that are 0-2 now. But I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, they're playing the Falcons at home, and then the Saints are banged up. I mean, they could start off 4-0 with all these injuries. The Falcons will probably be the toughest one because the Saints don't look very good. And then they got the Patriots, which is going to be tough. But they division foes are always difficult. But they've somehow managed to squeak out 2 wins. So I think that's why I'm going to have to choose them. But it's the Jets. I mean, another surprise team that's not 2-0 would be the Bills. I mean, the Bills have looked really good.
Yeah, the Bills have looked really good.
I don't know how or why or wherever that came from, but the Bills have looked phenomenal. They almost they almost came back on the Patriots, but they didn't force any turnovers. That's where they won.
Yeah, Rex was PO'd.
Yeah, he was. Well, he came out and kind of taunted them, so that was his own fault. So I mean, NFL wise, that's about it. I mean, we got a fantasy corner real quick. We got I guess I'll let you go. I'll let you start. Your DraftKings pickup, who Kayvon thinks you should pick up for the Thursday night game. A kind of a guy that on DraftKings and all the other ones like that, kind of the weekly things. A guy who doesn't cost a whole lot, but is going to bring you a good amount of points.
Yeah, I think out of the NFC least, Matt Jones is actually a solid pickup. A lot of people aren't really looking at him because you look at the Redskins, you think of Alfred Morris, you think of other people like that. But Matt Jones has been that little diamond in the rough that really has been shining a little bit through their struggles. And I think that he's actually a really good pickup that people should not be sleeping on,
Yeah, I mean, with 25 carries and 151 yards, and most of that coming last game with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. And at the beginning of the season, you would say, oh, Alfred Moore's getting all the carries. But it kind of looks like it's going to be a committee back type thing, which a lot of teams are going to now.
Do that.
So if you're in PPR, definitely go pick him up. And then DraftKings, I mean, he's probably not a whole lot of money. I haven't been able to look at it at the moment. But he's not too much money for what you're getting. And they're playing the Giants, who aren't doing very good in their rushing game. So, and then for your fantasy league, your waiver wire, you're going to want to go pick up the Patriots' Dion Lewis. He's just been on a tear. You kind of were wondering who's going to be the guy for the Patriots that's going to be the running back. Who's their go-to running back? And before the game, Belichick going, I don't know who Dion Lewis is. Kind of like, well, that's not a good sign. But then LeGarrette Blount didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
Yeah, he was actually a bust to me. I thought he was going to be at least a little bit more productive with the Patriots.
Yeah, but I mean, he's done nothing, and he was suspended the first game. So with the burst of Dion Lewis, and I mean, Dion Lewis can catch it at the backfield too, which is something big because, Brady throws the ball a lot. So, I mean, he's got 149 yards receiving and 109 yards rushing. So he's kind of that dual threat back. Yeah. So if you're high on your waiver wire or nobody's picked him up yet and you don't have a waiver wire, go ahead and grab him because he's going to be the diamond in the rough for the rest of your season. Because at some point the Patriots will run the ball.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna be a hot commodity, come middle of the season time.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, the Patriots have a couple tough games going up, but they're versus the Jaguars, so even in DraftKings, he may be a good pick depending on his price and everything like that. True. But they'll probably throw the ball a lot. But moving on to a different style of football, college football. Oh, it was an interesting weekend. Ohio State almost lost. And now there's talk maybe they need to choose a quarterback. So who is the guy? Who is Ohio State's guy to lead them to the promised land? Do they stick with the guy that won them the last 3 games and won them that coveted college championship? Or do they go back with JT Barrett, the guy that kind of put him in that situation?
I think you gotta keep it with Jones. Actually, I think you gotta keep it with Jones. He's I don't really like the whole flipping out play or giving them like almost what you said with the RG3 situation. I don't really like the fact that like a quarterback feels like he's in jeopardy of losing his spot.
Yeah, with Jones getting the 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a bad game. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he had a bad game last game, and I understand Urban Meyer. He had to flip him out and everything like that. But I just feel like you gotta. I mean, yeah, for the game, okay, switch him out, maybe get him a little, get him out because he's cold. But I feel like over the season, I feel you got to stick with your starter.
I mean, you got Jones and then you got Barrett. I mean, you got 2 NFL quality quarterbacks, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, the SEC doesn't have any quarterbacks and they have 2.
Yeah.
So you look at Cardell and you look at JT. I would also choose Cardell. Barrett's good. I mean, Barrett brings in a different form of kind of offense. He runs it a little differently, but Barrett's a little smaller, and Jones just has a cannon. They call him 12 gauge for a reason. I mean, he can throw the ball a mile.
Yeah.
I mean, 6'5", 250. He's huge, and as long as he doesn't make the mistakes, I think he's the guy. And I think right now you still say he's the guy. But, I mean, if he starts throwing 3 interceptions a game for a substantial amount of time and you're playing tougher competition than Northern Illinois, at some point maybe make the switch. But I think Jones is your guy right now.
But like you said, it is definitely a good problem to have.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's a good problem to have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, they had so many quarterbacks, they had to actually turn one of them to a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller, yeah.
Yeah, so it's but, again, one way or the other, they've still got a really good quarterback. I just think Jones is probably the guy to continue. But you'll find out in time. And they need to run the ball more, too. They got Ezekiel Elliott, who's just been – he hasn't been doing very well because they won't give him the ball. But he's got 4 touchdowns, 331 rushing yards. But speaking about running the ball, not a whole lot of time left. But, of course, we got to get to the ODU.
Oh, yeah.
The ODU, kind of disappointing game for both ODU and for Ray Lowry. But a positive, he's only like 53 yards back, 54 yards back from Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard's got 507. Ray Lowry's got 453. And they're playing App State this week. He should be able to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, this past game against NC State, I wasn't really more so surprised that ODU lost. It was more so surprised that Ray Lowry didn't really have a good production running the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, one problem though I saw, at least I thought was a problem, was that I think they were too one-dimensional.
Mhm.
Like, you have Lowry now, and you didn't have a running presence in the past. So I see why you're running it, but at some point you got to go deep. They never went deep.
Yeah, I agree.
And at some point you got to go deep to open up the offense because they were just loading the box.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I mean, Lowry couldn't get anything. They threw a screen pass to Lowry and he scored a touchdown because they had so many people coming for him.
Yeah.
So I think they need to get back. They need to trust in Bentley. I mean, Schuler Bentley, they brought in to lead the team, kind of take the reins after Heineke.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they need to let him throw it a little more. But when Lowry was having that good of 2 previous games, you start running him. But if he's not getting it going, at some point, you got to throw it. Because most of the passes were either screen passes or runs.
Yeah. It didn't seem like they had too much confidence in Bentley. That's what I remember. I was doing I was with Michael.
Yeah, doing the play-by-play.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. It just seemed like they didn't really have too much confidence in Schuler Bentley, which I can understand because he is a redshirt freshman and everything. But, you still got to get his feet wet. Yeah,
and I mean, the problem is he's a redshirt freshman, which is fine. And they were losing this game by 2 touchdowns. So at some point, you let him loose. I mean, you don't drive the Ferrari 10 under the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you just gun it. So they needed to let him loose and let him do his thing because they started throwing the ball downfield at one point for a drive and they scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So they just became so predictable. I mean, I think everybody in the stadium knew what was coming.
Yeah.
If Lowry doesn't get the ball in the backfield, it's a screen pass to Pascal or to Lowry or just
definitely.
Yeah,
we were way too predictable playing an ACC team.
Yeah, I mean,
too predictable.
We're not at that level yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we definitely need to get to that level to be on ACC level.
Yeah.
But CUSA wise, they've got a shot to win it.
Definitely.
I mean, they only got to win 6 games to make a bowl game. I see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't see why they won't make a bowl game. They're looking pretty good, minus this one hiccup. But NC State's the best team they're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at who they're playing. App State. That's not going to be a tough game. They should destroy App State. I mean, the hardest game is probably going to be Marshall, and we should beat Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
So I just. But it also didn't help that David Washington couldn't hold on to anything.
Oh yeah, that man had a lot of drops.
Yeah, I mean he was just dropping the ball left and right. It hit him square in the hands multiple times,
mm-hmm.
and it just wasn't him. He was just one of the noticeable ones. But there was a lot of drops.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point you got to go deep with Bentley, and I think after a while they just got too predictable.
Duhart, he had that crazy catch.
Yeah,
that was a crazy catch.
I mean, there were some good catches. Yeah, Duhart just had a phenomenal catch, but at some point you got to turn him loose. And I think App State, you kind of do that. You run it with Lowry some, and then you start getting a lead, and then you start throwing the football to see where your quarterback's at and what he can do.
Oh yeah, I would definitely love to see Schuler Bentley get some good reps in.
Yeah, because I think he's only thrown like 150 yards in both games, so it hasn't been spectacular. But he hasn't turned the ball over at all either. No interceptions.
Yeah,
that's something you like to see from a freshman quarterback who usually makes mistakes. 3 games in, no interceptions. That's a solid kind of performance by him.
Yeah.
And we'll finish it off with NBA. So I think what's his name? Curry was on some late night shows doing interviews and stuff like that. And of course, basketball is coming up, at least training camp wise.
Yes.
Which, if you're a basketball fan, that's the start of basketball season. You're excited. You're ready for it. So with that coming up, you got to think, all right, who can they repeat? And if they don't repeat, who's going to win it all? Besides your Wizards, of course, because your Wizards are always going to win it. But after the Wizards, say the Wizards the Wizards don't count. You don't count them. Who wins it? I guess who's East, who's West?
Okay.
Who do you got?
Honestly, even put the Wizards in there. I'm gonna tell the truth.
Okay. Well, the Wizards win it all then.
Cavaliers East, I believe. I really see the Thunder or possibly the Spurs Spurs are loaded.
Yeah.
The Spurs are loaded right now.
East. I mean, it's hard to go against the Cavs, but like Tristan Thompson isn't there yet.
Yeah.
They haven't paid him yet. But you look at the East, they're just it's a cakewalk. I mean, the East is a cakewalk. I had the Wizards win. I had the Wizards last year making it to the championship, and they didn't.
I did too.
I mean, I'm sure you did, but like the Wizards were stacked.
Yeah.
And I think they're still pretty good.
They are.
But the Cavs, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's hard with the LeBron James and the Kevin Love on the outside and Kyrie.
And now they've got a year under their belt. So I think the Cavs make it for the East. The West. The West is so hard. The West is so different. I mean, the Clippers are either going to be really good or they're going to be terrible.
But I don't see them winning a championship.
Because I mean, they picked up Stevenson. They picked up Matt. They got Matt Barnes. They just got a lot of guys that can't get along. OKC made some good moves. If they're healthy, they're going to be up there. San Antonio, though.
Rockets are all right too.
Yeah, I don't know if James Harden can lead it though. But the San Antonio Spurs, man. What they did over LaMarcus Aldridge now?
And they got David West as a backup.
Oh my God. Yeah, David West took the league minimum to be for them. Like
coming to DC.
Oh my. The Spurs, the Pelicans are good too. The West isn't fair, man. Being a Thunder fan, it's like, man, anybody in the West could win it. Dallas, I mean, Golden State's good. I don't think they repeat though.
I don't see it either.
I mean, they'll be good, but I think Curry gets injured, so watch out for that. The Clippers are good. The Lakers will be a force. The Kings are loaded. Nobody's talking about the Kings. The Kings got Rondo. They got
I don't believe in Rondo.
Oh, no. Look. Rondo can play. Rondo can play,
that
man.
That man can't shoot a basketball.
No, okay. Rondo can't shoot a basketball. I'll give you that. But Rondo is the best passer in the league.
He's a liability on the court. He cannot make a free throw.
No,
you saw what happened.
Yeah, I mean, Rondo's the best passer in the league, though. If him and Cousins are on the same page, nobody's stopping him. There's no Cousins is the best center in the league.
Let me tell you, if I see Rajon Rondo coming my way, I'm fouling him, sending him to the line.
Yeah, but you got Willie Cauley-Stein, DeMarcus Cousins, Rudy Gay, Darren Collison starting with Rajon Rondo underneath, and then Seth Curry. I think Seth Curry can shoot just as good as his brother. Maybe not as good, but he's on that level of the Curry chain, where the Dell Curry, Steph Curry, Seth Curry, and then you got Ben McLemore, who I think is pretty good at the shooting guard. Their team's good. As long as they don't have like problems with the front office and the coaches and the players get along.
Yeah, because Rondo has an attitude too.
Yeah, and so does Cousins.
Yeah.
So they're not going to win the championship, obviously, but they're a force to be reckoned with. They're going to mess up some teams.
Definitely.
But I think San Antonio does it, man. The Pelicans are good. I think they need a little more. I'd like to see the Thunder do it, but the West is just too stacked.
Yeah, I love to see the Thunder. I like to see KD do work, but I mean, the Spurs are definitely the favorites. I can see why. LaMarcus Aldridge, Tim Duncan, like it's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna
you can't count. You can never count them out.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. But if the Thunder are healthy, I think they got a shot.
Oh, definitely. You got a Kevin Durant and a Russell Westbrook on the same team.
You got Deion Waiters and A. Morrow. But it's a tough.
I just hope that KD comes back healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's the main. I hope Paul George too. I hope he comes back and I know he played a little bit, but I hope he's good.
Yeah.
But that's about it. That's Thursday. I'll be here. Kayvon might be here. You never know.
Yeah, never know.
You never know. We'll try to keep him around. We'll see. But yeah. So that's what we got Thursday. We'll do picks. Oh, I turned off the music. We'll do picks. We'll see who we think's gonna win each game. You'll get our take on everything else that goes on. We'll see what's happening with Witten and all that. But until then, I'm Alex. That's Kayvon.
Yep.
And you're listening to CupCheck on WODU, the best in college radio.
Be easy.